Heruka informs him that despite being a solitary figure, he will safeguard the class representative, and Tanaka grins menacingly as he states that he will eliminate him first. In that scenario, Tanaka unleashes his complete potential and propels some stones hurtling towards Heruka as a cautionary measure. He then explains that back in the White Room, when everyone was choosing aptitudes, he went last and ensured that all the remaining aptitudes were inadequate. He smiles smugly, inquiring of Heruka if he can vanquish him with those trivial aptitudes, and then launches some larger stones at him. Heruka prepares to defend against them, but then Tanaka utilizes his distinctive capability called tweak. Consequently, Heruka's body starts contorting, and he finds it difficult to maneuver. Notwithstanding that, he avoids the stones somehow, and then Tanaka conjures crystal spikes directly beneath his feet. Heruka evades them as well, but he is fatigued now because his body is feeling significantly heavier. Tanaka acknowledges that he is superior than he anticipated, and then inquires of him how long he has been distrusting him. Heruka responds that he questioned him from the very initial instance. He understood that Tanaka would either associate with the intellectuals or become a recluse, but he was astonished to observe him with the hooligans and reasoned that there must be some explanation for it. Following that, Heruka asks him when he commenced enacting this scheme. Tanaka discloses that he conceived of it as soon as they were transported from the classroom. He failed to acquire the hijack aptitude, but then he noticed the tweak aptitude that can manipulate the targets marginally, so he selected it. He manipulated the foolish hooligans, and the rest is chronicle. Tanaka declares that they have conversed sufficiently and binds Heruka's foot with a vine. He then discharges a potent fire incantation at him, believing that this will be adequate to terminate him, but to his astonishment, Heruka absorbs the flames into his staff thanks to the power of the herb that merged with it. He instantly proceeds to counterattack to strike Tanaka down while he is still in disbelief, but it emerges that Tanaka was merely feigning. He extracts a sword from his posterior to obstruct Heruka's assault and then repels him. Subsequently, he summons all the weapons in his stockpile, proclaiming that he will finally have the opportunity to test them all. He charges at Heruka with a sword and rapidly exchanges his weapons with each blow. Heruka is completely on the defensive, and he can scarcely protect himself against Tanaka's erratic and rapid assaults. He attempts to conceal himself in the shrubbery, but is struck with a forceful assault that sends him soaring to the opposite bank of the river. Heruka discerns that he is not sufficiently powerful to confront Tanaka, and then ponders how he can utilize so many weapons and powers concurrently. Tanaka arrives there and implores him to surrender, but Heruka rises and inquires if he is employing the copycat aptitude to duplicate the capabilities of their classmates. Tanaka confirms and appends that he was intending to utilize this to duplicate the class representative's hijack aptitude and then eliminate her to acquire the genuine article. After that, it won't require him much time to eliminate everyone and pilfer their aptitudes as well. Heruka comprehends that he is facing his most formidable adversary yet, and Tanaka commences assaulting him with various weapons. Heruka endeavors to retaliate, but only strikes an apparition, and the actual Tanaka is behind him. He considers that this tactic won't be effective, so he aims his staff at the ground, and Tanaka assumes that he has yielded. He charges at him, but Heruka sidesteps his assault by mimicking Goku's Ultra Instinct, and then inquires of Tanaka if he can utilize one copied aptitude only 3 instances. That strikes a chord, and Tanaka commences to panic. He forfeits control of the circumstance, and Heruka states that he deciphered the weakness of his copycat aptitude a considerable time ago and prompted him to squander his copied aptitudes deliberately. Tanaka is enraged that he was tricked, but Heruka knows that he is still retaining at least one copy of each aptitude. Tanaka assaults him in desperation, but Heruka evades his assault and then repels him with a kick. He resolves to finish him swiftly using this opportunity, but then Tanaka abruptly fires a potent projectile at him, compelling him to halt. He is determined not to be defeated, so he decides to utilize his ultimate weapon. Tanaka summons a dagger and advances towards Heruka, swiftly inflicting 2 rapid strikes before disappearing and reappearing above him. Heruka dodges everything, but as dust permeates the air, he recognizes that this was merely a diversion, and Tanaka has something else planned. He is correct because Tanaka is concealed behind a rock, accumulating power for his ultimate capability called instant death. He strikes Heruka with that, and as the name suggests, the aptitude terminates his life instantaneously. He collapses to the ground, and Tanaka emerges to laugh like a malevolent mastermind. He tramples on Heruka's head and decides to depart, but then abruptly Heruka rises again and inquires why he is departing so hastily. Tanaka is terrified and inquires how he can possibly be alive after being struck by instant death, and Heruka reveals that he possesses the general health aptitude, which makes him impervious to status effects, and instant death is one of them. He also has his luck stat maximized, which signifies that the success rate of instant death was significantly diminished. Tanaka loses his composure and inquires why he collapsed then, and Heruka explains that it was a ruse. Tanaka still cannot comprehend it and states that it should be unattainable for him to move so rapidly when he was under his tweak aptitude, and Heruka unveils another secret. He employed another aptitude called blockhead that permits him to control others like a marionette, and he utilized it on himself to counteract Tweak's effect. Tanaka cannot control himself any longer, and he instantly commences repeatedly using his weapon aptitudes at Heruka, who effortlessly blocks them. The intellectual collapses to his knees, incapable of believing that his flawless calculations failed. He recollects how he was perpetually bored at school because he was a prodigy ahead of everyone. He desired a method to alleviate his boredom, and then he was transported into this realm with the remainder of his classmates. The moment he observed the aptitude list, Tanaka knew the choices he should make to make his life most exhilarating. He was more than willing to terminate his classmates for that, and believed that once he obtained all the capabilities, he would be flawless and invincible. He cannot believe that he was defeated by someone with inadequate aptitudes, and in his frenzy, he charges at Heruka recklessly. Heruka effortlessly disarms him, and believing that Tanaka has exhausted all his stratagems, he proceeds to finish him. However, his sword returns and impales Heruka, who realizes that Tanaka was still concealing his remote control capabilities. Tanaka proclaims that he still triumphed in the end as he commences slashing Heruka, but then Heruka punches him away. He managed to obstruct the damage with his packing aptitude, and then decides to conclude the battle by employing the gambit aptitude to deliver a blow that Tanaka cannot evade. Tanaka loses consciousness and collapses to the ground, and Heruka departs, stating that even though he doesn't possess any capabilities, he has his stratagems. However, he is also completely depleted now, and the damage has finally commenced exhibiting its effect on his body. He lacks the strength to continue moving, and he falls to his knees, believing that this is the end. He contemplates the class representative and his companions just as he is about to lose consciousness, but then someone supports him. Heruka opens his eyes and perceives the intellectuals there. He is disheartened that they arrived too late, but they instruct him to complain later. They provide him with some restorative potions and assist him as they return to the town. Heruka inquires of them what they are doing in the forest, and they disclose that when they were returning from a hunting expedition, they observed their classmates and learned from the athletes that he was attempting to combat Tanaka, so they instantly hastened to assist him, but they were slightly tardy. Soon, they reach the city, and everyone is awaiting them at the gates. The females encircle Heruka as they present themselves as his reward, but he anxiously departs from them and exchanges a high five with the leader of the Jacks. The females pull him inside, and the conceited TikTok female apologizes to the intellectuals for their past actions. Heruka believes that this is the joyous conclusion everyone desired, and now he has no function here. He decides to depart stealthily while everyone is occupied, but the class representative halts him and inquires where he is going. He panics, and then she abruptly embraces him, expressing that she was genuinely concerned about him. Heruka apologizes, but the class representative informs him that an apology won't suffice. She has assembled all the females in the class who are going to reprimand him for departing the city covertly without informing them. Heruka is alarmed, but he has no alternative as the females drag him back into the city to rebuke him and then drain his life force.